let's go ahead and get rolling. I've got just a handful of things for you today. And then we'll just kind of have open dialogue discussion. I don't have a huge formal program for you today like I usually do, but I do have a handful of things I wanted to talk to you about, okay? So hopefully everybody had a great weekend, lots of busy activities. Tell me how, I know, Claire, you had an open house. Julie, did you end up having one? No? And Tracy ended up showing some houses. Joanne, did you have one? You're muted. I can't hear you.
Yes, I had an open house.
How'd it go?
So. I had people come through. I had the homeowner not really comply with what should have been done. And so she had people there. And she wasn't there, but she had people there. And it was just weird. So
yep. Sounds like it.
She's a friend, so I have to figure out now how to tell her nicely. If we do this again next week, that this can't happen.
Yep. So a lot of your job as a real estate agent is going to deal with the psychology of things. Who was it? I was telling this the other day. It was Athena. I was like, you almost have to have a secondary degree in psychology to be a real estate agent to be able to help establish boundaries. And she was like, well, I do have one. I was like, oh, that might serve you very well. So yeah, establishing boundaries, establishing criteria for this is what it's going to be like to work with me as your agent makes a big difference and can help you in the long run. Okay. So before we go too far, somebody's got a horrible echo. Who's unmuted?
Me, sorry, I'll mute it.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. All right, so let's go ahead. Oh, how was your open house, Claire?
Eventful, to say the least. There was so the owner was there. She'd laid out a big spread with like champagne and shrimp, strawberries, everything like that. We had nobody through, not a single soul. But this was her fifth open house, I believe, fourth or fifth open house on this property, and not one soul had been through. So long story short, she's not very happy, but we've spoken to Jay today, so we'll see what goes with that. But yeah, not great. Eventful.
Gotcha. All right. So actually, one of the topics that I want to talk to you about today is open house and touring agent program. Okay. Both of these programs, some of you are actively involved, some of you are not, some of you are waiting to get actively involved, Sarah maybe, and Leah, and are eager to do these. We've talked about verticals before, and an open house or showing homes for another agent is a great way for any type of a new agent to get plugged into the business out there and to generate additional business. Okay, so open houses are fabulous, and we had an opportunity this weekend for additional open houses. Some of you in our individual coaching sessions are clamoring for opportunities, and there was one presented this weekend, and I had to call no less than a dozen of our agents to try to find somebody for it. These are the kind of things that I would encourage you as a foundations agent, as a new agent trying to establish your business, to jump on very, very quickly. Okay. And I'm going to show you the mechanics of exactly how to do this. Some of this may be review for some of you, but it may be something new and enlightening for our brand new folks like Sarah and Leah and a couple others. Just as a reminder where to go and how to access this information. Okay. Any questions before I get rolling? And then we're going to roll from that into something else, a new topic. Sharing my screen. Okay. Hang on just a second, y'all. Okay, so just by way of review, is everybody looking at BrokerMint? All right, so two ways for you to plug in as a new licensee or a new agent. First is the open house sign up, and this is something that is in development as we speak. And this is, you know what? It's because the link is broken. Well, that's going to be fixed soon. However, right now, if you want to get involved in open houses, you should have your name on the list with Christina. Okay. And we're actually revamping this program, and it'll probably roll out the results of it either on the huddle tomorrow or the huddle on Thursday. Okay, but the way I'll characterize the program in general, as we are soliciting every one of our new listings that comes in, we're asking the listing agent if they want to host an open house. And if so, here's a list of the people that are interested in doing open houses, and they can either pick or they may contact you directly. And that's just the idea, is to get you more opportunities to host open houses. Okay. The other one is the touring agent sign up, which is on your screen right now. And that link is available right here. Okay, so the touring agent sign up, this is for during the week, you will see touring opportunities or showing opportunities posted on Workplace during the week. This sign up is a way to make sure that your name is on the list, and specifically for the weekends. Okay, so on the weekends it's harder to find, and we don't have the help desk being manned. So if for example, like I think Lanier had opportunities this weekend, I saw several workplace posts from him and others on opportunities. If you have got your name on this list, they will reach out directly out to you. Okay, so kudos to Tracy, the only person on here as we speak. So Tracy, you get extra credit for having signed up for all of these spots. But here's where you would just simply put your phone number, your name, and what your availability is during these time frames. And look, you can pick whether you're going to do Saturday or Sunday. Although I would say the vast majority of the time, that's going to be when you're going to be the most available to do these. Okay, any questions on this at all?
Yes, I have a question. Getting into the open houses and being a touring agent, like for the first time, how does that process really work?
So the touring agent is, you have the opportunity to show another agent's, whether it's showing their house to an unrepresented buyer, or it might be a represented buyer for somebody else in the agent, and they just simply have a conflict with the schedule and they can't make it to go show them a house, and you can go and do that. It's a $50 per showing opportunity for you to make a little bit of money and compensate you for your time. And you simply put your name on the list. And you respond to opportunities as they are presented, whether it's contacting them directly, or whether it's responding on Workplace saying me, as soon as you see a showing opportunity at a house in, Dunwoody Saturday at 10 o'clock. You get paid from within the office. The agent will pay the office pays you, cuts a check, and it gets recorded as, just for taxable purposes as income, just like any other commission or anything else. Does that answer your question?
I think I was asking more like, well, I've never done a showing before, an open house. Like, how does that,
Tell you what, let's you and I talk about that offline. It's because you would need to get you're going to need to get your Supra box to open keys in the key boxes in the house. But otherwise, yes, we can set you up, and we'll talk about that offline. And hosting an open house is there's some subtleties to it, but for the most part, it's not cosmically difficult.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. What other questions do y'all have? Okay. But I just will really want to emphasize that it is critically important. You all are screaming for it. I hear you. And then we had opportunities, and it was like crickets were chirping because we just couldn't get anybody to respond to those things on Friday. And I know it's somewhat last minute, last notice, serendipity being what it is. But I want to make sure you guys have as many opportunities at bat as you can possibly have. Okay. All right. Showing agent sign up. Workplace during the week. I'm just reviewing my notes. Okay, let's talk about something else. Okay, I want to talk. Who can remember? Let's flash back. Some of you more recent than others. What are our duties as an agent to our client? Does anybody remember the actual acronym or the exact details of what our duties are?
Is it old car, the acronym?
Yeah, you're pretty close. Go for it. Can you list them off, Sarah?
What is it? Oh, I know there's loyalty.
Okay. Loyalty is one of them.
Man, what does it mean?
Okay.
Confidentiality is C.
Yep.
I think A is accounting.
Yep.
R is gosh, what is it? D.
Well, you're close. I actually don't think it's R. Okay. So anybody else got any to add?
Isn't disclosure one?
Yes, ma'am. D
That's
is
right.
disclosure.
Obedience, loyalty, disclosure, accounting, confidentiality.
Got it. And there's one more. Starts with a C. It's care.
Care.
Okay. So exercising care, agent must use all of their skills to the best of their ability on behalf of their client. All right. Hang on, let me share my screen, and we're gonna go through each one of these, and then we're gonna look at some real world practical examples. Everybody looking at a blow up. I'm trying to make it big. All right. Accounting. Agent must account for all the funds entrusted to him or her, and not commingle or combine customer funds with personal or business funds. Okay, so fastest way for an agent to lose their license in the state of Georgia is to mishandle funds, particularly earnest money funds. Okay, care, using all of your skills to the best of your ability on behalf of your client. Confidentiality, an agent must keep confidential any information that is given to him or her by their client, especially information that may be damaging to their client in a negotiation. Okay, so simple stuff like you're listing the home. Why is it being listed? Should you ever say, well, my clients are getting a divorce? Could that be used against them in a negotiation? It absolutely could. So you have a duty of confidentiality. I have a client that I'm working with that is an adult autistic gentleman in his late 50s. I have to be very careful to not disclose any concerns that I have or anybody has about doing business with somebody with those with some limitations or perceived limitations. So that's huge in terms of one of our duties. Okay, disclosure. Claire, what do you read that one for me, will you? You're muted.
God. Okay.
There you go.
The agent must disclose to the client any information she receives that may be, the rest of it is hidden, something to the client's position in a negotiation. That's it.
May benefit the client's
Benefit.
position in a negotiation.
You couldn't say benefit.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Agent must disclose any information that she receives that may benefit the client's position in any negotiation. So anything dealing with the home itself, about the situation, whatever the case may be. I'm going to skip loyalty for a minute, and we're going to talk about obedience. Agent must obey all lawful orders that the client gives him or her. Okay, so obedience is another one. Here's a really big one. The biggest one on here, and the one we're going to talk about the most today, is loyalty. The agent owes in undivided loyalty to the client and puts the client's interest above his or her own interests. Does anybody see bad examples of this frequently? I do, and we're going to talk about some of them. All right. I have said this once, and I'm going to say it a million times. I'm going to take you off screen so you can actually see my face when I'm saying this. Okay. This is really, really important. If you put your client's needs above your own, without regard to your own self-interest, without regard to, is this going to net me a commission? If you put your client's interest above your own, it will eventually pay off for you, and that loyalty that you're displaying is ultimately going to result in more business, more customers, more commission dollars, more of everything. Okay, so I have literally heard from the beginning of my career to yesterday, heard agents say things like, well, they're only offering X, or I'm not going to drive all the way to South Atlanta for this client because it's just not worth it, or the commission's not high enough, things like that. Okay. While that may be true, and while I wouldn't be human if I didn't have somewhere in my head a thought process of, does it make sense for me to do that? Does it change the loyalty that I display to that customer in any way, shape, or form? Shouldn't. Okay. So to that end, does anybody else have some good examples of stuff that you see that you wonder and you question whether or not that is putting the client's interest above their own?
Yeah, I often wonder how it's really possible for a dual agency situation when you talk about loyalty, because you do have two separate loyalties that you're trying to serve, and I don't know how I guess it's possible. I just don't see how it is.
I agree with you completely, Leah, and that's why Century 21 as a brokerage does not practice dual agency. That is the equivalent of an attorney representing both the defendant and the plaintiff at the same time. Can it be done legally in the state of Georgia? Theoretically, it can, but that's why we as a brokerage do not practice it. Okay, is it possible to have both sides of the transaction? It is. One of them as a customer, the other side as a client. Big difference, and the duties and the loyalties that we just discussed are to your customer or to your client, not your customer. Okay, big difference. All right. So this agent owes an undivided loyalty to the client and puts their interest above their own, could be taken to extremes. I have even seen agents that will not agree to a special stipulation that says if the due diligence or any of the contingencies expire on a weekend, they're automatically extended to the following Monday. On the one hand, part of my brain goes, you know what, that kind of makes sense. It makes sense to not have to deal with issues at midnight when due diligence on a Saturday night expires at midnight on a Saturday night. Does anybody want to deal with contract negotiations on a Saturday night? Probably not, you know, and your spouse may be wanting to go out to dinner, or you've got a family commitment or things like that. It's understandable. But could one make the argument that you're putting your own convenience above the contract, above negotiating the contract on behalf of your client on a Saturday night? Yeah, one could probably make that argument. All right. Let's talk about one of the most extreme examples, and this is so bad that I had to show you guys. All right, so let me share my screen here. Now we're gonna share this screen. Okay, I have. Are you looking at an MLS listing? I have protected the names of the innocent here by removing several details. This is a home that I was helping a client with over the weekend. This is in South Georgia, in Rochelle, Georgia. I was helping to arrange showings for a client that wanted to go outside of the normal territory that I would go into, which brings up another whole question about loyalty, but I'm not gonna talk about that one in this forum right now. But this is a historic property that has been listed. It was built in 1850, and it is in a small little hamlet south of Macon. Okay, look at the original list price, $399. Look at the current list price, $299. Look at when it was originally listed. That is in August, not of 2021, but of 2019. Okay, been on the market a long time, y'all. Y'all with me so far? All right. Now let's look at so the overview of the property. It's pretty simplistic. You know, it's a mansion. It's a shotgun mansion. It's a beautiful home. Now let's look at the showing instructions. Okay, appointments and 24-hour notice required. Okay, first off, I hate all caps because it's like they're shouting at me. Required. All right. Email showing date and time request, plus buyer's proof of funds if they're a cash buyer, or mortgage pre-approval and proof of funds for cash down payment, portion of loan to the showings at whatever the email address is. Okay, so proof of funds, if you're going to be a cash buyer, fine. All of these things being required before you even show the house, maybe a little excessive, you know, a little bit onerous upon the showing agent to do all of these things. Okay. Response will be provided within 24 hours of the request received. We do not use showing time, screaming at me in all caps. If you submit a showing request through showing time, you will not receive any response. Okay. Offer submission instructions in the next line down. Email offers to blank. Co-op commission is 1.5%. Okay, first off, let's talk about that a little bit. Are they doing a good duty to their client by offering it 1.5%? On the one hand, they may be saving them a little bit of money. On the other hand, have they literally hobbled the horse by doing such a low commission that they may not get some showing activity? One could make the argument they have done that, considering, look at when it was listed, y'all. Okay, now let's go one step further. Co-op commission is 1.5% with the following exceptions. If the listing broker and or agent should open or show the property, prepare, complete, correct, and or provide contract documents and or MLS information for a cooperating broker, then cooperating broker's commission co-op shall be $500. What do y'all think about that? Do you think that's fair?
See why it's not sold.
I'm confused.
Couldn't agree with you more. I completely agree with you. This is, so in other words, I'm only going to offer 1.5%, but if I have to lift a single finger to help you, my cooperating broker, in this transaction, then you are going to get $500. So they might as well just scream from the mountaintops, I am going to be difficult to work with. Okay. Now, let me go one step further. My client was interested in this home. I tried to find information about, specifics of showings and details and anything that I could provide. First off, none of the information that I was looking for was posted to the MLS. So in other words, they forced me to try to reach out to them to answer my questions. Guess what? That number goes to an office. The brokerage office, and the brokerage office had notes for their agent that says, do not give anybody my cell phone number. All the information they need is in MLS. Yeah. That was actually, I'm sorry, that was the listing office number. This one, I thought I had reached that number when I was reaching this one. This one actually reached an answering service, which had the exact same note that the brokerage office had. And I literally told the brokerage office when I called them, I said, so let me get this straight. Your agent is not interested in speaking to anybody that is interested in one of your brokerage's listings. Is that what I hear you saying? And that was pretty much the response I got was yes. That's exactly right. Okay. Again, I'm blown away that this client is putting their own convenience and interest over everything else and doing a disservice to their client. And is it any wonder why it has been listed since 2019? Okay. This one could make the argument. I could theoretically, if I was this client, I would be furious, and I hope you would be too. And I hope you would make a very clear statement that you are not willing to work with an agent like this. So my duties and obedience to my client was, look, I have made every attempt to try to schedule a showing for us, to try to find out information about this particular property. Unfortunately, this agent doesn't want to play. I will continue to do so until such time as you tell me not to. And they were like, don't bother. If they're not interested in doing this, we're not interested in the house. I said, thank you very much. Okay. So that is a real world practical example of an agent that is, in my opinion, not doing their duty of putting their client's interest above their own. And there are many, many examples out there. And I hope you guys learn from this experience and know how to better handle these situations when you get them.
I have a question. Would you
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Would you not reach out to the broker?
I did.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I did. And unfortunately, how do I say this? This is in South Georgia. Things work a little bit differently down there. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Julie, I think that you had a question, and then I see some. Oh, is there any way to contact the seller? Okay. Let's talk about that. Under what circumstances do you ever contact another agent's client?
Zero.
Never.
If you contact the listing agent first, then technically.
Yeah, to find out information about when the listing is going to expire. That is where you're limited, and that is the only reason you could ever reach out to that particular agent. In this case, you know what? I don't have a dog in the fight. It's not worth my trouble. It's not worth your trouble. It's the problem of that brokerage and that agent, and unfortunately that client. I don't have a dog in the fight. Not really interested in pursuing it any further. I did what I needed to do, and put the information in front of my client and got their marching instructions, which were don't bother, ignore it. We're not interested. All right. I have gone over time, folks, and I was literally worried that I didn't have enough material for y'all to take the full 30 minutes today. I should know better. Y'all know me. I can talk. All right. When's the listing agreement expire? Good question, and unfortunately, it's not posted in MLS. All right, folks. What other questions do you have this week?
Are any listing agreements posted in MLS or no? Not typically.
The expiration dates of when a listing is supposed to expire are visible to you if it's your listing or within your brokerage. But what other expiration dates are, they are not visible in MLS.
Okay.
Okay. All right, folks. Sign up for coaching this week. Get me this week and get on my calendar quickly. It's filling up pretty quickly. I'm on vacation next week, so y'all will get a break from me. But Rob will still be available, and then you can get on my calendar for the rest of the month. My calendar is booked out through the end of March, so reserve your spots now, and look forward to working with you individually as we go forward.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Happy Valentine's Day.
Same
Thanks
to you.
to you.